The realm of consumer behavior extends far beyond the simple exchange of goods and services. It is a complex interplay of psychological forces that drive individuals to make purchasing decisions, often in ways that deviate from purely rational economic models. Understanding these underlying psychological principles is crucial for individuals seeking to manage their spending, for businesses aiming to connect with their target audiences effectively, and for policymakers seeking to shape economic behavior. This report delves into the multifaceted psychological factors that influence what, how, and why we spend our money, exploring the fundamental principles, the sway of emotions, the impact of cognitive biases, the role of social and cultural influences, the strategies employed by marketing, the spectrum of spending behaviors, the influence of personal traits, and the connection between spending and financial well-being. A multitude of fundamental psychological principles shape the landscape of consumer choice, guiding individuals as they navigate the marketplace. One such principle is loss aversion, which posits that the fear of losing something holds a greater psychological weight than the satisfaction of gaining something of equal value. This is exemplified by the stronger negative reaction to losing a $20 bill compared to the positive feeling of finding one. In marketing, this principle is applied by framing offers around the avoidance of loss, highlighting what consumers might miss out on if they fail to act. Urgency creation and loyalty programs that incentivize retention by the risk of losing accumulated rewards are further applications of loss aversion. Conversely, the paradox of choice reveals that an abundance of options can lead to overwhelming feelings and decision paralysis. While variety might initially seem appealing, too many choices can hinder the purchasing process, as demonstrated by studies where a limited selection led to more sales than an extensive one. Marketers leverage this by simplifying choices, offering curated selections, and creating clear paths to purchase. In situations of uncertainty, individuals often turn to social proof, looking to the behavior and opinions of others for guidance. This is particularly true when perceived risk is high or time is limited. Marketing strategies frequently incorporate social proof through social sharing buttons, testimonials, user-generated content, and by highlighting the number of satisfied customers. The endorsement of influencers also taps into this principle. The principle of reciprocity suggests that humans have an inherent desire to return favors or acts of kindness. Offering something of value upfront, such as free samples, consultations, or informative content, can foster a sense of obligation, encouraging consumers to reciprocate through purchases or referrals. Even small gestures like providing a mint with a restaurant bill can influence tipping behavior. The anchoring effect describes the tendency to rely heavily on the first piece of information encountered, known as the anchor, when making decisions. In pricing, displaying an original price alongside a discounted price uses this effect to make the sale appear more attractive. Marketers also use anchoring to set expectations in negotiations and product positioning. The scarcity principle plays on the fear of missing out, FOMO, suggesting that people value things more when they are perceived as limited in availability. Creating a sense of urgency through limited time offers, exclusive products, and emphasizing low stock levels can drive impulsive buying behavior. The decoy effect involves introducing a less attractive option to make one of the better options seem more enticing. For instance, pricing a medium-sized product in a way that makes the larger size appear to offer better value. The halo effect occurs when a positive impression of one aspect of a product or brand favorably influences the perception of other aspects. The endowment effect describes how people value things more once they own them, a principle leveraged in marketing through customization options and free trials. Priming involves subtle exposure to stimuli influencing subsequent responses. The principle of commitment and consistency highlights the human desire to maintain alignment between beliefs, values, and behaviors, which marketers utilize through tactics like foot-in-the-door techniques and free trials. Consumers also tend to follow the law of least effort, preferring the easiest solutions to their problems. Finally, the information gap theory suggests that people are motivated to seek information to fill gaps in their knowledge, a drive that marketing can tap into. Understanding Maslow's hierarchy of needs further clarifies the range of motivations driving consumer purchases, from basic survival to self-fulfillment. Emotions are a powerful force in shaping consumer spending habits, often overriding purely logical considerations. Positive emotions, such as happiness and joy, are strongly linked to favorable product evaluations, increased purchase intentions, and impulsive buying. Experiential purchases, in particular, often lead to greater happiness than material goods. Marketing strategies frequently aim to evoke these positive feelings through humor, heartwarming stories, and creating positive brand associations. Trust is another crucial positive emotion, forming the bedrock of brand loyalty and influencing purchasing decisions. Brands build trust through transparency, authenticity, and consistent customer service. Nostalgia, a powerful emotion linking to cherished memories, also fosters strong brand connections and increases willingness to spend. Marketing campaigns often leverage retro themes and imagery to tap into these sentimental feelings. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others, is increasingly recognized as a key to building strong, lasting customer relationships and brand loyalty. Negative emotions also wield significant influence over consumer behavior. Fear and anxiety can drive purchases related to safety and security, lead to impulsive buying as a coping mechanism, and even trigger panic buying during times of crisis. Anxiety, in particular, can spur impulsive purchases and prioritize products offering a sense of control or security. Marketing often utilizes these emotions by highlighting potential risks and offering products or services as solutions. However, the ethical implications of using fear in marketing are a significant concern. Sadness and boredom can also drive extraneous purchases as individuals seek temporary comfort or distraction from negative feelings. Sadness, for instance, may lead to increased consumption of unhealthy foods and a higher willingness to pay for new items. Anger and disgust can lead consumers to avoid certain products or brands associated with negative experiences. While generally avoided, anger can sometimes be carefully used in marketing to galvanize action when aligned with consumer values. Finally, guilt can act as a motivator, especially in cause-related marketing, prompting consumers to make choices that alleviate feelings of moral obligation. Overall, emotions wield a powerful influence on consumer behavior, often shaping decisions more significantly than rational thought. Effective marketing often taps into these emotional drivers, but it is crucial to do so ethically and with a deep understanding of the target audience. Consumers navigate the marketplace through a mental maze shaped by various cognitive biases, which are systematic patterns of deviation from norm or rationality in judgment. Framing effects illustrate how the presentation of information can significantly influence decisions. For example, describing a product as 90% fat-free is often more appealing than saying it contains 10% fat. Marketers leverage framing by highlighting the benefits gained or losses avoided by choosing their products. The anchoring bias describes our tendency to over-rely on the first piece of information we receive. Retailers often use this by displaying a high original price next to a lower sale price, making the discount seem more significant. Loss aversion, the stronger preference for avoiding losses over acquiring gains, also plays a crucial role. Marketing messages frequently emphasize what consumers might miss out on if they don't take action. The availability heuristic leads us to overestimate the likelihood of events that are easily recalled. Marketers aim to make their brands and products easily memorable to capitalize on this bias. Confirmation bias describes our tendency to seek out information that confirms our existing beliefs while ignoring contradictory evidence. Testimonials and positive reviews are often used in marketing to reinforce consumers' positive perceptions. The bandwagon effect, also known as herd mentality, describes our tendency to do or believe things because many other people do or believe the same. Highlighting a product's popularity or showcasing many satisfied customers are common marketing tactics leveraging this bias. Other cognitive biases, such as choice-supportive bias, overemphasizing positive aspects of a decision, recency bias, favoring recent information, cognitive dissonance, discomfort from conflicting beliefs, hypothetical bias, different preferences in hypothetical scenarios, mere exposure effect, preference for familiar things, salience bias, focusing on prominent information. and zero-risk bias, preference for complete risk reduction, also influence consumer behavior. Understanding these mental shortcuts and their impact is essential for both marketers seeking to persuade and consumers aiming to make more rational purchasing decisions. Social and cultural factors weave a complex tapestry that significantly influences consumer spending patterns. Peer pressure, particularly among teenagers, plays a dominant role, driven by the desire for social acceptance and conformity. Peers often serve as reference groups, shaping perceptions of fashion, brands, and lifestyles. The intensity of interaction and similarity in age and interests amplify this influence. Social norms, the unwritten rules of behavior within a society or group, also exert a powerful influence on what, how, and where people buy. The bandwagon effect, a manifestation of social norms, highlights our tendency to adopt popular behaviors and preferences. Social proof, relying on the actions and opinions of others, is another key aspect of social influence. Cultural values, the shared beliefs and principles guiding daily life, profoundly shape consumer preferences, priorities, and perceptions of value. Factors like individualism versus collectivism and cultural norms significantly impact spending habits. Language and communication styles, varying across cultures, also influence how marketing messages are received. Reference groups, encompassing family, friends, colleagues, and aspirational figures, provide benchmarks for comparison and influence purchasing decisions. Their influence is particularly strong for publicly consumed luxuries. Social class, determined by economic, educational, and occupational factors, significantly affects consumption patterns, brand preferences, and price sensitivity. Higher social classes often favor luxury brands, while lower social classes prioritize value. Finally, subcultures, defined by shared interests, beliefs, or identities, create niche markets with distinct consumption patterns and preferences. Marketers often tailor their strategies to appeal to these specific social and cultural influences. Marketing and advertising strategies frequently harness psychological principles to persuade consumers and drive sales. Robert Cialdini's principles of influence, including reciprocity, commitment, consensus, social proof, authority, liking, scarcity, and unity, provide a foundational framework for understanding persuasion. The authority principle highlights the tendency of people to trust and follow the guidance of perceived experts. Marketers leverage this by featuring endorsements from experts in their advertising. The liking principle suggests that people are more likely to be persuaded by individuals or brands they find likable or similar to themselves. Establishing a connection with the audience based on shared tastes or identities is a key marketing tactic. Emotional marketing has emerged as a powerful tool, tapping into shared human experiences to create memorable campaigns. This involves using storytelling, emotional language, and visual psychology to connect with consumers. Case studies of successful emotional marketing campaigns demonstrate the effectiveness of leveraging emotions like happiness, fear, sadness, empathy, and urgency. The power of storytelling and the use of compelling brand imagery and messaging are also critical in influencing consumer decisions. Sensory marketing further enhances emotional connections. While emotional appeals can be highly effective, ethical considerations are paramount, particularly when using fear-based tactics. Finally, nostalgia marketing, tapping into positive memories, and empathy marketing, focusing on understanding customer feelings, have proven to be powerful strategies for building brand loyalty and driving engagement. Consumer spending behaviors encompass a spectrum from carefully planned purchases to spontaneous impulses and even compulsive actions, each driven by distinct psychological motivations. Impulsive buying is often fueled by negative emotions, offering a temporary mood lift, and is more common among individuals with impulsive personalities. Marketing tactics like limited-time offers can also trigger impulsive purchases. In contrast, planned purchases are the result of a deliberate decision-making process involving need recognition, information gathering, and evaluation. Compulsive spending, however, can be a maladaptive behavior linked to anxiety, serving as a way to self-soothe, and can escalate into a harmful pattern. Panic buying emerges from fear and anxiety, prompting individuals to stockpile essential goods, often influenced by observing others doing the same. Extraneous purchases, or buying things we don't need, can be driven by the desire to display social status or as a response to emotions like sadness or boredom. Finally, dissonant buying impulses refer to purchases that conflict with an individual's resources, needs, and goals, often stemming from negative emotional states. Understanding these underlying psychological motivations is crucial for both managing personal spending habits and developing effective marketing strategies. Individual personality traits, values, and self-perception also exert a considerable influence on the types of products and services people choose to buy. Personality, as described by models like the 5-factor model, including openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, shapes shopping habits and preferences. Traits such as frugality, materialism, impulsiveness, and price consciousness further contribute to individual spending patterns. Individual values, including ethical and sustainability concerns, also play a significant role in consumer choices, guiding people towards products and brands that align with their beliefs. Self-perception, encompassing how individuals view themselves and their social standing, influences purchases as well, with many consumers using products and brands as expressions of their personality and social status. The concept of a spending personality highlights the unique combination of these factors that drives each individual's purchasing behavior. Beyond the act of purchasing, the psychology of saving, financial well-being, and the relationship between spending habits and overall life satisfaction are critical aspects of consumer behavior. Saving and financial planning are influenced by psychological factors such as financial anxiety, the perception of wealth, and the moral tax on consumption, which describes the guilt associated with splurging. The use of credit cards can also psychologically disconnect the pleasure of buying from the pain of payment. Research consistently shows a link between spending habits and overall life satisfaction. For many, spending on experiences brings greater and more lasting happiness than spending on material possessions. Engaging in prosocial spending, or spending money on others, has also been shown to increase happiness levels. The idea of spending personality fit suggests that when spending aligns with an individual's personality, it can lead to greater life satisfaction. In conclusion, the psychology of spending is a rich and intricate field that reveals the multitude of factors influencing why we buy what we buy. Fundamental psychological principles like loss aversion and social proof, the powerful sway of emotions ranging from joy to fear, the pervasive influence of cognitive biases, the shaping forces of social and cultural contexts, the persuasive tactics of marketing, the diverse spectrum of spending behaviors, the impact of individual personality and values, and the deep connection between spending and financial well-being all contribute to the complex tapestry of consumer behavior. A comprehensive understanding of these psychological underpinnings empowers consumers to make more informed financial decisions, enables businesses to engage with their audiences ethically and effectively, and provides valuable insights for policymakers seeking to foster a healthy and sustainable economy. By recognizing the often irrational nature of consumer behavior and the powerful psychological forces at play, individuals and organizations alike can navigate the landscape of spending with greater awareness and intention.